Coming to you live from the Build Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. We are back, and it seems like there was a disaster averted last night with Jalen Brunson. I'm still not totally convinced that everything is okay, because when you hear about the x-rays, and you know, Al and CeeLo were talking about this too, but it's something I was absolutely thinking about. The x-rays these days mean nothing. Remember when Aaron Rodgers got the x-rays? X-rays were negative after Aaron Rodgers left the field, but you knew that the Achilles was popped at that point. So x-rays were negative. They say it's a knee contusion. It said that his return was questionable last night with Jalen Brunson, but I still want to see a couple days MRI and everything else. But after screaming and yelling on Friday morning at 6 o'clock about how New York has suffered so many unbelievable season-derailing injuries, you almost had another one last night, but maybe, just maybe, we got some luck in our favor this time. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I woke up with just a horrendous sore throat, and then I look over to my right, and CeeLo's here. So that's exactly what happened.
You really have a sore throat?
I do, yeah.
Oh, man. That means you're getting sick.
No, I don't know about that.
That's the first sign of getting sick.
Is it really?
Generally.
I don't know.
For me, it is.
Listen, I'm good right now, so I feel pretty good. I don't feel like I'm sick. I just feel like I had a sore throat. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where that came from. I have no idea.
Were you yelling last night?
No, of course not. Well, I was yelling at Dimitri to get back on defense. He would get back on defense. After Lindsey basically stacks his team to try to take down my Wasp hockey team. It's embarrassing. But anyway, be that as it may, I will say that, so I've done what Jalen Brunson has done. You know, he actually knocked knees is what he did. Had you ever done that, doing anything?
No, of course not. I don't do enough to have my knees knocked.
I've done that a number of times. Did that playing professional football, did that in college, did that playing, intramural basketball in college.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't playing first base in high school. I can't tell you how many times that I did exactly what he did right there. So there were no MRIs back in the day. There were only X-rays. X-rays are really for bones.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about ligaments, and we're going to talk about all that.
Let's talk about ligaments and bones. Why not?
Yeah. It looks like they knocked knees, and he just caught it right on the kneecap. That's kind of like what it looked to me. But anyway, they seem to be pretty positive about where he is right now, that it is just a bone contusion. And if that's it, maybe he misses the next game. Thibodeau said he wasn't sure. Maybe he will play the Atlanta game. But all I can tell you is that now we are 3 games into that 7-game run that I was talking to you about.
And this was a great win for them, man.
Right.
I know Donovan Mitchell didn't play, but still, they were still underdogs. Jalen Brunson leaves. Everybody thinks that he's done for the season. So this was one that we didn't necessarily count as a victory that they got last night, so very good.
Josh Hart was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He was great last night. He took over. It's like, okay, it's my team. And by the way, this Grimes kid, you got to keep him on the court. Somehow you got to get him more minutes. He's like instant energy. He was like when Quickly would come into the game.
Sure.
And I just whatever it is about him, I don't know if they don't like his defense. I thought he was a good defender. I just seems
talking
like
about McBride.
I mean
right?
McBride.
Yeah, not Grimes.
McBride. He's like instant energy off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, and they when they were making all the deals and they were thinking about who they're going to keep and who they could hold on to, Deuce McBride was the guy who decided to give a little bit of an extension to and keep him around, and he's gotten more minutes, especially with the injuries. And yes, he's just another one of those really good role players who comes in and gives the Knicks that hard-playing, regular season, youthful energy that they have. And it's sort of a catch-22 in a way, because the Knicks play harder than just about anybody in the NBA during the regular season.
Which is amazing.
But then again, they got a million guys hurt.
I know. It's amazing, but it's also appreciated.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is. I mean, from the fan base. And I was thinking about, if this team ever could do something, what would happen around here?
What do you mean? All right, give me your definition of
win a championship.
Something.
That's what I mean.
Oh, my God. I mean, that would be...
Would it be the biggest championship around here?
I think so, yes.
Bigger than the Jets, Giants,
because
Yankees?
Yeah, because the fan bases are not split as much. Now, I know there's more football fans and basketball fans, but it's been so long with the Knicks. It's a pure Manhattan team, and the Net fan really doesn't exist in this city. To me, it would be the biggest one. Now, the other ones would be big, but I think there'd be more people on the same page with the Knicks than any of the other
just
teams.
because it hasn't happened in such a long time.
Well, but think about it. It hasn't happened for a long time for the Jets either, but there's more Giants fans than Jets fans. You know, and the Knicks are one of those teams, too, that even the periphery fan, the one who's on the outside looking in New York, where the Knicks are really good in the playoffs,
they'll
springtime.
pick it up, they'll watch.
Everybody's in on it. It's the thing to do now, you know?
Yeah, you got to wear the Knick jersey to school, that kind of thing.
Well, I remember last year when they were in the playoffs in the second round, and it was beautiful weather. I'd leave here. I saw Knicks stuff on everybody walking around the streets on a sunny spring day. We here is right.
Well, I don't know if you saw the what does Kevin Durant call his podcast?
I don't know.
Calls it something. The Boardroom, I think?
Yeah, the Boardroom is his company, yes.
All right, well, the Boardroom, he and his agent were sitting there in front of a nice fire out there in Phoenix discussing, how the agent wanted him to go to the Knicks. I wanted you to go to the Knicks, and how Kevin Durant, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the sense was at the time the Knicks weren't cool enough. The brand is cool. The brand is great, but the team wasn't.
Well, I mean, and we kind of agreed with that.
I know, but he could have made it cool.
Yeah, but they weren't. I mean, we said this at the time, and Rich Kleiman's the guy's name that you're talking about, and he grew up a Knicks fan. That was part of the reason why we thought that there was a good chance that Kevin Durant would come to the Knicks. But the Nets were ready for him at that time, and it worked out horribly. And they could have, and for them to pay him to not play for that year, as we always talk about, is something that they needed to do because they needed to obtain some sort of relevancy with that franchise in New York. Where the Knicks, once he went down, I came on that next morning. We both said it. It's over now.
Yeah, I know that, but you know what the amazing thing is that he tied himself to Kyrie Irving. That's what he did.
And now Kyrie's having like a great year down.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is he's out of here and he's not, and he's basically trying to bounce back.
Yeah,
he's trying to bounce back. So he's out of New York. He's out of all the madness and all the other different things that went on here. But I was, watching Kleiman and Durant do this. I'm like, They kind of remember it a little bit differently than I do, but I just felt like he hooked his wagon to Kyrie, and Sean Marks was going to pay Kevin Durant for not playing.
And he did, yeah. And that was the move that made that franchise, at least in that short term, relevant. Now they're completely irrelevant. Now was one of the biggest busts in NBA history, that net situation. But that brings you to now and the Knicks. Clearly the brand is still cool. Clearly the team is very good. So in this offseason, obviously didn't happen at the trade deadline. In this offseason is one of these superstars like Kevin Durant, who's now his contract was up at the time. But one of these guys forced himself to the Knicks because he's unhappy with what's going on with wherever he is. And you just never know.
If I had to guess, it's coming out of Minnesota because Minnesota is not paying as much money as that they're going to have to pay if they want to keep that whole team.
Yeah.
I mean, like you look around and you look at where the financial pressure is. And financial pressure, in the NBA is a weird thing. But I do know that because of what they have up there in Minnesota, this is their moment to go for it. And if they don't make it, somebody's going. Somebody of significance is going up there because they can't afford everybody.
Yeah, and that's what Woj said, too, at the trade deadline with the Knicks. He goes, you're not going to see that big superstar deal now, but in the offseason, there's going to be a team that goes into the postseason with high hopes and then gets slapped around, and then they say, okay, this is not the group. Sort of like the Utah Jazz a couple years ago, where Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were just gone. Danny Ainge went out there and blew the whole thing up, said we're just not good enough as presently constituted. Timberwolves could be that team, and there could be another superstar that gets annoyed, gets knocked out in the first round, maybe thinks they're going to the finals, does not. Maybe they get swept by the Nuggets and think that they're too far away, and then obviously something breaks up, and the Knicks are the benefactor of that because they still have the assets, and obviously they're a good landing spot for the first time in a very long time for one of these top-level guys. And Jalen Brunson is here, and that's the difference, and hopefully maybe a game, maybe 2 games at the very most, maybe no games. But when I watched that last night, I thought immediately that it was over. Because you know what it was? It looked it looked non-contact. You know, you had to really take a look at the knees knocking there.
Right.
And the slow motion to see, because immediately when you watched it, it looked like he just came down and it was non-contact.
It hit him perfect. It just caught him right. And that actually does hurt. That hurts like a BICTCH, man. That is a bitch. That hurts.
Yeah. But I mean, like, just watching him like that, I was like, okay. I mean,
what are we doing now? Come on, not again.
Forget about it.
I thought you were going to have to go on one of your injury rants.
Well, I mean, I did Friday.
I know. I thought you were going to end up doing it again this morning. Say, I told you so. See, I told you so.
No, I didn't want. I don't want to be the "I told you so" something horrible happened guy. I was just pointing out the facts.
I know, but you pointed out all the horrible facts.
Yeah, I did. And then there was a big column written about it in the Post on Sunday. About all the different injuries that have happened over the last year or so.
Where'd they get that idea?
I don't know. No idea. But disaster averted, I guess. I guess
I hope
now.
so, man. And the other thing too is Hartenstein trying to get him and making sure that that his Achilles doesn't pop.
I know
he's got some sort of Achilles stretch. I look at their sneakers, and here's the thing that I always wonder about. Like, I wonder if anybody is doing. I would imagine that the NFL's got to be doing this. Got to be doing a study on the amount of Achilles injuries that they have suffered over the last few years. Like, in what shoes are the players wearing? Okay, maybe it is the surface. I don't know. But what about the shoes that the players are wearing? Anybody thinking about that? Anybody talking about that? Anybody
I've never
saying,
know.
What brand are you wearing? I don't know. It could be any brand. I have no idea.
You're telling me that there's a shoe out there that could be contributing to more Achilles injuries than
may
others.
be. I'm just wondering if, and I would think that the way that the NFL does things and the way that they track injuries, concussions, that's one of the reasons why they're talking about a new kickoff setup and everything else, is it the shoes that the players are wearing? And I don't know what shoes, because I would think like an offensive lineman would wear a different shoe than a linebacker, and a linebacker would wear a different shoe than a wide receiver. So, you think about like a number of the Achilles injuries that we saw this year, not just Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers, but the amount of guys that went down.
J.K. Dobbins.
The guys that went down with it. I got to be thinking, and by the way, the Greenlaw, they lose him in a Super Bowl. That's on grass.
Yeah, non-contact.
And all he is doing is running on the field.
Yeah, I don't know if it's to me, it feels like it's just one of these wear and tear situations with these guys. Now, obviously, it was contact with Aaron Rodgers, but he also had that calf thing going on, prior to the season.
Yeah,
right?
But the way he got twisted into the ground.
Yeah, that was more of a contact thing.
That was all the weight on him and everything else.
Kirk Cousins, non-contact. Greenlaw, non-contact. I forget about the J.K. Dobbins one, but yeah, I mean, it just feels
like Tucker for the Jets too.
Yeah, he also tore his Achilles. Yep, and I forget how that one happened. But
I wonder how many Achilles injuries there were this year.
I'm definitely popping mine at one point. I know it because I've already got that Achilles tendonitis. Remember when I was I had to chase Al down leaving the Super Bowl to get to that car.
Yeah.
And then Eddie and I were walking, and then I tweaked the Achilles tendonitis the next day. I was limping. Then I got to ice it for a couple of days. That thing's going. At some point, it is going. And there was a guy I worked with in Pittsburgh, tore his Achilles standing up from the couch. Like, just got up off the couch, popped his Achilles. Ever since I heard that story, I know that's my fate. It will happen. One day in the next 5 years, I'm going to get up
existence.
Like Sabrina's going to be like, Daddy, could you get me my water? I'll be like, yeah, don't worry, honey. And then boom, pop, blah, it's going to explode into my calf, and I'm going to be walking in here in a walking boot. I'm telling you right now, it's happening. That's how these things go.
Well, I got a good surgeon for you.
Elatrage?
No. Martin O'Malley.
O'Malley? Okay, yeah. Martin O'Malley. Well, yeah, and I have that surgery done at his Fire Island house.
Maybe you can get it done before it pops.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? That's what Princeton Longevity Center does. They get ahead of your health problems.
That's what I'm saying. So if you got a health problem, let's get him in there. Maybe you could put some fishing wire in there or something.
Yeah, something. Let's prevent this thing. Yeah, let's do that this summer. Right out there on his deck at his Fire Island house.
I think it also is because, you are playing golf more and you are twisting your legs more.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably some of it. Is it your right foot?
No, it's actually my left.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
your front foot.
Yes. I don't know if it has anything to. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, you got to twist. Yeah,
got to twist, but
you're twisting some.
But that was what a sad scene that was with Eddie huffing and puffing and me limping.
I mean, that if you would have seen that,
Oh God.
you would have been disgusted. Disgusted.
And Gina was keeping up, but she had to run every few steps.
Yeah.
Was she wearing sneakers or was she wearing shoes?
I think she had sneakers on.
She did. Okay.
I'd never seen a man walk that fast.
Wow.
Not in a competition.
Right,
Really?
it was
Maybe we
almost
could put
like
Al up, maybe we could put Al for the Paris Olympics.
yeah, Olympic race walker. I definitely would
For his
slow
age group, there's
Oh,
no doubt about it.
100%.
I mean, it was like, what was those little things like, with Paul Blart Mole Cop, he has one of those, that's how fast he was going. Like he had one of those things.
It almost looked as if like the film was sped up.
Really?
Yes.
And was he all just like totally sweating and everything?
Oh, he was in a foul mood.
Oh, it was
Very proud.
incredible.
How would you
Leaving
know I
the
was
Super
so far
Bowl.
ahead?
I could tell you kept like looking back at us, and he's like, ooh, and I'm like, I'm dragging my foot behind, and then Gina has to jog every 5 seconds, and then you turn around like,
And I'm trying to swing my arms just to help, trying to go faster.
it was what a
crazy.
scene. What a
That was
scene.
about not 2 miles, but mile and a half of walking.
At least.
At least you guys got some exercise in.
We did. And after everything we ate, man, we ate a lot that day.
Yeah.
That tailgate. So we needed it. And then when we finally get to the car, this is the last thing I am ever doing on a work night. Ever.
And then we got to the Virgin Hotel. I was like, oh, thank God.
Meanwhile, Boomer's in front of 100 million people doing a post-game show, and this is what your coworkers are doing at the same time.
If one of you guys went down with an injury right then and there, we would have to leave you.
No, exactly, yeah. 100. I was
Gotta
thinking,
leave behind.
trust me, I was thinking that. Like, I already had, like, the Uber app. I was like, listen, if I can't keep up, I got to get out of here myself. What if I don't get in that car? I'm going to have to just go save yourselves. I'm laying on the ground. No, Eddie, go. It's okay. Save yourself.